Hello, everyone. How are we all doing? Come on in, sit on down. It's Sunday. It's the evening in the UK. It's the afternoon for wherever you are in America, and I am late. I apologize. The kids just hadn't gone to sleep when I anticipated they would, so I've just been waiting patiently and having a bit of a fight here and there to make sure that's happening. And it still hasn't happened, but I'm just going to wing it anyway because you guys have waited long enough. But yeah, so episode 123, 123 of the Truther therapy sessions. And I was thinking about today's show, like, what am I even going to talk about? Because there's a lot on the plate, on the world plate. It's a smorgasbord, as people say, of things to pick and choose and discuss. And people know I've been kind of focusing a little bit more on the meta commentary of the truth and movement itself, rather than actually focusing on world events and trying to decode the symbols and the hidden truths behind all of them, like so much in our community already do. And I was kind of talking about the everything that we're allowed to talk about now that we kind of weren't really allowed to talk about not that long ago. And primarily the main thing that we seem to be allowed to say more than anything is about the those people in the Middle East, you know. And it seems like you get a free pass now mentioning Israel than you used to be able to get. But there are still some things which are still taboo, which you cannot talk about on YouTube. That is still true. So I think I probably should have made that a bit more clear in my main videos. And I actually do talk about those things on my Patreon, if you don't know. Links down below, but on there's already 8 episodes of the things you're not allowed to say, where I kind of reel off the really spicy things, which are just a no-go zone for YouTube. The topics you just really, if you say them, you're losing everything type of topics. They're on Patreon, where I think I can safely get away with saying it there. And for people who are wondering, like, why don't I talk about certain things? Well, I explain very clearly on there, even through my own experience over the last, 12 years on this platform, just why I know not to say those things and where the limits really are when it comes to certain subjects. I've been burnt, got strikes, had warnings, and all sorts of things, and I've kind of tested and learned where those boundaries are. And even lately, I've been testing those boundaries a little bit here on the YouTube algorithm, and some things which I thought were safe to say sometimes will become not safe to say, and it's a bit of a game. You've got to play it, you know. So that's kind of what I've been focusing. But then I thought, well, I can't just keep talking about that ad nauseum like over and over again, especially not for the live show. It's actually been a few weeks since I've done a truth or therapy session because I've just had health problems, sickness, things coming up. I've just not been able to do what I normally do on my schedule. And I've been doing live Q&As in between instead. So I thought, since it's been a while since I've done a truth or therapy session, and because I've had quite a few new subscribers come with these new videos, which have gone semi-viral, they've done quite well, I figured I might as well do a back to basics, what this podcast is really for type of episode, and talk about the truth of journey, the struggles, the ups and the downs, and the problems people kind of face for the new audience. For those who may have not heard me talk about these things before, maybe we'll go through a few tips for truthers while we're at it, you know, and point you guys in the direction of some of the work I've done on this over the years, and kind of show you that this is a place where we can kind of not feel alone or as isolated or as crazy as the rest of the world likes to make us feel when we start discovering certain uncomfortable truths about the nature of reality. Maybe that's a good way to put it. And that is the problem, isn't it, with the truth of journey? It's a lonely one, and it's an isolating one, and it's a burn all bridges around you type of deal if you're not careful. But even if you are careful, there's no guarantee that won't happen anyway, because people will just choose to burn that bridge for you instead because of your newfound passion and or belief systems. I think we've all been there. Everybody who's made it to this channel has probably already gone through the ringer. And maybe a lot of the advice I give is too little too late, as I've heard a lot of people say. And I get it, you know, but that doesn't mean to say we can't all come together here and at least have a community and have each other's backs, or maybe a few shoulders to cry on while we're at it. So before we get into that, let's just see who's in the chat. Let's see the usual suspects. We've got Wendy in the house. Thanks for being here, Wendy. I appreciate it. We've got a new one here. After the party with Captain after the party with Captain Alien. Never seen you before. Thanks for being here. I've come across some odd people as of late. It's apparent when people don't want to hear about Christ. That's true. That is true. I believe the elites are so sure they are in sight of the winning line, they no longer care what we know, as the trap is already cocked, says Sparky Lee. Perhaps. We don't really know. We're theorizing out loud. It does seem like they're letting us say a lot of things lately, and it feels like a bit of a trap, doesn't it? That's for sure. We got Thomas in the house. Good to see you, man. In my opinion, you can still talk about now is spot on and dangerous for them. Oh, good. Yeah, I'm glad what I'm saying is still relevant in some way. What else have we got here? We got a lot of new faces. Like, that's why I figured we should do this live show just for the new people out there, you know, and just so they can get a taste for the vibe of this channel and why we do what we do here. I'm trying to get the kids to sleep. That's right. Hello, all you enlightened ones. Happy to see you all, says David Truthvids. Thanks for being here. We've got Files NXP, Lisa and Yukon. We've got a lot of good names, a lot of good new faces, old faces, a nice bunch of people. But yeah, guys, the format of this show is usually me going on and ranting for like maybe half an hour to 45 minutes before opening it up to questions and just having to go back and forth with you guys. It's a pretty loose format show. Sometimes we get guests on to share their truth or journeys on here as well from other channels, or even just call-in sessions from the audience and from you guys who feel confident enough to come up and share your stories about losing loved ones and friends and family along the way. You know, I have kind of seen it all, been through it all. I've been there. And the thumbnail of today's video, I'll just quickly bring this up. As you can see, I whipped it together. And I think sometimes we all feel like this guy here, don't we? Like, I really should never have clicked on that video. Because it really does come down to one moment that kind of happens in your life at some point. You know, one day you're just walking along, living your life, you know, you're doing your job, you're hanging out with your friends, you're playing games, you're having fun, you know, you're doing your day-to-day. Not a care in the world. The government's a little bit annoying. It seems to be, you can see there's problems, but you just don't really think deeply about it. You're pretty sure somebody out there is dealing with it at some point, you know. There's a level of, like, standards in the world as far as you're concerned, and you're good just to go along and get along and do what people have done before you, you know, and you understand authority has corrupt people in it, but yeah, you know, it means well. The system's not that bad, you know, and it has some good things as well. You're kind of living in this zone where you go along to get along, and you're very much focused on your own problems, you know, and that's life, isn't it, for most people. And you never really question much, and you're relatively happy, you know, because you got your comforts, you got your things, you got what you need, you know, and yeah, you're busy, you're being kept busy, and you're not really finding much time to think about much else. You know, you focus on what you're doing with your life and where it's going and so forth. And there's nothing inherently wrong with any of that, by the way. It's more of I'm trying to paint a picture of you have this blissful ignorance about you in a sense, which is. Again, doesn't mean you're dumb, it just means you're not aware of that one thing you suddenly become aware of as soon as you accidentally stumble upon just one random video online one day. Or maybe a person talks to you and just says something to you one day that makes you think and go, oh, really? You know, I never thought about it that way before. And then the cogs suddenly start like churning in your head that were rusted tight with all the fluoride, you know, and suddenly it all snaps. And now these thoughts are coming into your head, and you're not quite sure what to make of them, and you got this nagging feeling suddenly appearing in the back of your mind. It's kind of like, I've got to look into this. I've got to figure out what they were talking about. What did they say exactly? You know, what's in the water? Like, what did you say? The government worship what? You know, it's something happened, and that was it. There's no going back. It's over. You are now officially one of us. You are now a dyed in the wool conspiracy theorist. Like, you are now questioning everything. And that moment where you dive into the rabbit hole, as a lot of people have kind of symbolically talked about many a time, You never really forget it, do you? I'll tell you my first time. It was the 2012 end of the world phenomena was around the corner because the Mayan calendar was just about to end. And I just couldn't understand what people were reading and watching and thinking about, and who were they talking to. What was making them say these things? Why do people think the world's going to end in 2012? I mean, legitimately, what the hell is happening? So I had to go and find what they were looking at. And, there's a lot of nonsense involved in that initial thing, but you start with that one point, and then suddenly you're learning about secret societies. Suddenly you're learning about Bohemian Grove, and suddenly you're learning about false flags, and you realize that 9/11 was an inside job, and then suddenly it's just one thing after another, and you start to realize everything's controlled, everything's completely fake and orchestrated theater through secret societies, and there's this Council of 300 that people are talking about. There's these 13 bloodline families who all worship Lucifer. It's just it snowballs pretty quick, and you're sat there after like spending like a month isolated in your bedroom, just staring at the screen, soaking in all this information, and suddenly getting a crash course into occult knowledge and understandings and perspectives, and you're learning about this whole world that exists parallel to what you were living in that you had no idea was there. And all the while, you're learning all these things which are quite obviously true as well. They're just not talked about. And you sit there and you think, nobody's going to believe me. How am I supposed to tell anybody this stuff? What am I supposed to do now? I can't go back. That which has been seen cannot be unseen. It's one of the main rules of the internet. Like, it's over now. Like, you cannot look at anything the same ever again. Every movie's been ruined. Every film, song, or like thing that you were into, this whatever pop culture thing you enjoyed is now tainted beyond belief because you realize the symbolism, the hidden messages, the programming, the propaganda, and everything else within it, and the predictive programming, the conditioning behind it all, and the message behind it all, and the point. And it's kind of, you can no longer enjoy the things you used to enjoy anymore. And this is all going towards that isolated feeling, that sense of, you can see all your friends and family still unaware, still in that zone, still living a parallel world now, and you're suddenly out of it. And it does feel like you've unplugged from a simulation. It feels like you've taken goggles off and you're not seeing the augmented reality everybody else is still living through. You're seeing it for what it is now. I don't know, have you ever seen a good analogy, again, which is maybe not a Matrix one, to freshen things up, is there was a very poor video game that didn't do very well, but its hype was pretty impressive, and it was called We Happy Few. And it was literally about people living in this decaying world. It's like civilization is just rotting, buildings falling apart. It's a dictatorship style, 1984 style dictatorship world. And everybody who lives in it is just complete and totally high on a drug called joy. And they all have these painted clown masks on and everything with fake smiles. But they're all just beaming their tits off on this psychedelic compound. And when you take the drug in the game, it's like a mechanic, the world looks wonderful and perfect and everyone's happy. And the enemies of this world, the people who aren't taking their meds, are the downers who bring everyone down. And they're the ones who see it for what it actually is. And the whole is kind of, everyone's against you. It does feel like that. It's like, if you're not with us, you're against us type of attitude. And then we conspiracy theorists suddenly get delegated to this same view where everyone sees us as like, everything, it's just a bit of fun, you're looking too deep into it, it's not that deep, that kind of attitude. Or it's kind of, you're just ruining our good time, you're putting a downer on everything, can't you just enjoy the movie, And it's kind of, you become the downer in the room because you can't go along to get along anymore. It's difficult, it's tricky to kind of be in that world because it's an augmented reality. It's not the reality itself. It's I call it the devil's overlay. I made a video about this. Go and check it out if you haven't already. And it is like we have God's creation, which is the world as it is, the reality for all of its darkness and light which is within it. It's a world of harsh realities and beauty at the same time, the real world. But then there's the devil's overlay, which has been peeled on top of God's creation and ingrained itself into God's creation, which isn't real. And I'd say like cities come under this category, and the institutions and the pop cultures generated by Hollywood and this machine, which we have now perceived as the world as is, which is not the truth. It's not really what's happening, and it's full of flashing lights and addictive things to keep you busy and occupied and entertained within it. And people like us have decided to stop taking the drug. We're not taking the joy anymore. We've unplugged, and we're seeing it for what it is, and we're calling it out for what it is. And for a long time, that makes us a huge problem. Now, there's lots to be said about today. The tides are changing, the tides are turning, and I think a lot more people are suddenly realizing, oh yeah, this is absolutely complete and totally screwed up beyond comprehension, and the conspiracy theorists were right. We should have listened to them sooner. I think that's kind of happening now. But I mean, for me, for the last, since 2011 is when I got into this, so it's 15 years, I guess, time's ticking on. I've had the channel for 12, It wasn't like that for a long time. It's not like it is today, and it wasn't like it is today for a very, very, very long time. Like 15 years ago, me trying to tell my loved one, friends, and family this stuff made me lose people quickly. And I'm a pretty down-to-earth guy. I thought I did a good job at trying to do it calmly and with a bit of tongue-in-cheek. But even that, it's people distance themselves from you very quickly because they don't want to know. They do not care if it's true. I don't want to know this stuff. Get out of my life, and that's what people do. They will cut you out like a cancer from their life because everything you say and do exposes things that they're happy not knowing or being made aware of, and that is the case. And I have a whole series on my channel called The Tips for Truthers. I'll get it up on the screen for you guys right now so you can see it. And let me just quickly close this tab so I'm not draining too much of the bandwidth. But if I go to my channel, I don't know if you guys go to my homepage very often. I'm not totally sure if you do, but let me just go there quickly and I'll share the screen with you guys. There it is. So if you go over to playlists, just here, and you check out the many playlists I've got going on. There's one here called Tips for Truthers, which has been going on for a long time, about 5 years in the making. We'll pause that. Look how young I look there. That's just before a kid. I think that's when I just had my first child. I'm not quite tired enough yet. But on the side here, there's a whole list of tips that I've kind of gathered over the years. The first few, up to like number 16, and this one here as well, telling loved ones the truth and don't get fixated. These are like older than this one, which starts from number 19 onwards. I kind of rehashed them and did them again, so I'm not in my car anymore, I'm in my office. So start with this one at number 19 if you're going to go check it out. I'm not sure what you guys can see on the screen there. Yeah, so number 19 here with the smiley face. I'd check that one out first if you're going to, because again, it's me doing it again, but with better sound quality in the office, a couple of years after doing the original series. But there are some tips here which I think you should probably listen to, and actually understand. Like, I'll scroll through a few. But the first one is be careful who you tell. And I think a lot of people, again, if you're new to my channel, you need to listen to this. I'm not just saying this because I want to try and like suppress the truth. I get accused of all sorts of nonsense. This is a sincere attempt to help new people who have just woken up not burn all those bridges too quickly, and also not endanger themselves like it used to be for me a long time ago. Now today it might have changed, but I don't think it's changed too much when it comes to day-to-day and especially the workplace. Be careful who you tell is a very important tip, because it means like there's a time and a place for this information, and you need to be careful about who you're going to choose to divulge that you think about this type of stuff to, because there's a huge danger in it, a massive danger in it. Okay, but like I said, there's loads of tips here. Keep a sense of humor. Don't forget to live your life. You need to learn to accept rejection and move on. The truth is a weapon. People don't like weapons being brandished in their face, and they will get defensive and they will attack you or defend themselves and use the full force of the law against you if you start saying this stuff to the wrong people at the wrong time. You have to accept that you could be wrong about a lot of things. And there's a lot of stuff here. There's a lot of stuff here. Go and check out this playlist if you haven't already. And I think you can find a lot of use in it. But like I said, the Tips of Truth series is something that I had to learn the hard way. These are things I learned over like a decade and a half of grinding through the world, testing things and talking to people about this stuff and having this channel as well. And I've learned the hard way, unfortunately, a lot of the lessons you see there. And I'm hoping people find it before it's too late for themselves. I really am. Like, it's a sincere attempt to help the community, not to limit the truth. Because the problem is, a lot of people in the truth community, in the culture, and I get it. I get why you have this attitude. I'm not saying it, like, you're bad for having this attitude. I'm just saying you need to think about it before you start going all guns blazing. But that's the problem. A lot of people go all guns blazing with the haughty, higher than thou attitude of, no, screw you, the truth should be proclaimed from the rooftops, and I don't care if all these normies and sheeple reject me, I'm going to say it anyway, you know. And it's kind of nothing, no one's going to stop me from selling the truth, blah 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 blah. And it's that attitude is not as useful as you think it is. It isn't, and it's not actually doing the thing you want it to either. It's not spreading the truth as effectively as you think it is. And this is something, again, there's some sad truths, some sad facts I've kind of realized as time went on. But those types of people who behave that way and berate and belittle those who don't believe them and shout and fight from the rooftops and have that warrior mentality towards the truth, should we say, but it's the point where they denigrate those who don't listen and attack people and are, it's like they're on a crusade for the truth type of people. Well, you actually turn more people away than you do bring people in, and it's because of the problem with those who are still in the system is that they still hold weight and value into the system. And the system has taught them, okay, that credentials matter, looks matter, decorum matters. Authoritative people who know what they're talking about act and behave a certain way. And they have been brainwashed and programmed to see people like that who go around with their dreadlocks barefoot, screaming about peace, love, and consciousness and orgone energy, while also talking about the lines in the sky, fluoride in the water, and the rest of it. They have been the normies, as they're often called, though it's not a nice term when you really get down to it, but the people still in the system have been programmed to view anyone like that as somebody not worth listening to. So if you're going to play that stereotype of the conspiracy theorist, you can expect to lose immediately when it comes to actually effectively spreading that truth, because the stereotype has been programmed into people to be rejected. So you need to play a game. You need to speak calmly. You need to be cool about it. Throw some humor in there. Comedians are loved in this civilization, people who make satire out of the truth. And you need to be well kept. And you need to speak with an air of authority about things, but not with pride or hubris or denigration towards those who disagree. If you can do that, then you're basically LARPing as an academic. But whether it's real or not, fake it till you make it, people will listen then. And again, it's a horrible truth, but it comes down to another sad fundamental principle about how human beings work. People don't care if the truth is true. They have a choice whether to believe it or not. And you should consider it as something like buying a product. Now, people, if you ever worked in retail and sales, you would understand this. If you've had to cold call people and sell them stuff, which I've had to do in the past, you know, in a call center, I think I was trying to convince them to swap their pensions over to a different, more higher performing yield rate. So I offered pension reviews. But anyway, people don't buy products. They buy into the person selling them the product. Okay. And that's how the truth works. A lot of people believe in things, certain topics and ideas, because they've met somebody else who believes in it and they like that person. And it's psychologically, people kind of behave this way. It's kind of, well, they seem to have their shit together and they believe in this thing. So maybe if I start believing in it too, I'll also end up like them. And that is how people think and behave. We're social creatures. We're group preference creatures by nature. It's just how we are. And that's how people behave. So if you come across as looking like bulging, wide-eyed, crazy, do you see, and you sound like a lunatic smoking weed and the rest of it, and just looking like disheveled and like a homeless person while just screaming the most wildest, craziest things and saying like and calling other people idiots and the rest of it, well, people are going to look at you and go, yeah, I don't want anything to do with what he's selling. I don't want to know. Because if knowing that kind of stuff makes you into that, I want nothing to do with it. And there you go. That's why that attitude, that behavior, that style fails dramatically. It really does. It really does. Now, it might work for some people. Not enough. Not enough. And again, these are the type of things the Tips for Truthers go through, and we expound upon a lot. So go listen to that playlist if you're new here, and you might learn a thing or two. But I need you to realize I'm not like trying to say don't talk about it. I'm not saying that. I'm saying there's a way to do it that is more effective, and there's a timing to the method as well. Another example I use a lot is you need to be very careful about who you tell and when you tell it, and your work friends are not your friends. There's no need to bring this up in the workplace. There's no need to be that guy. Nobody likes that guy, and that guy misses out on a lot if they are labeled that guy within an institution or an environment like a workplace, okay? And is it worth it? No, because those work people are not your friends. And they are looking to step on you and use anything they can against you to get ahead of you, more often than not, when it comes to the workplace. So again, don't talk about this at work. Keep your head down, get on with your work, keep to yourself, and just focus. Forget about it. Let it go. But then again, you get those people that ask you, no, I'll tell anybody and everybody no matter where they are and screw them. And it's kind of, okay, well, if you want to be that guy who can talk about this all the time, then quit your job and become a YouTuber. It can be done. I did it. But I'm allowed to do this. I can do this. I'm not beholden to anybody. And I can support my family and as a self-sufficient, self-employed person. But if you're employed, your employer doesn't have to keep you around, really. They can find any reason to get rid of you if they disagree with your worldview. And the world is against people who have this type of worldview. Normally. Again, it might be changing a little bit now. I think everybody has kind of woke up a little bit. I think the evidence is coming out that we were right about a lot of things, and maybe the tides have changed a little bit and that Overton window is shifting a little bit, but you're not out of the woods yet, okay? Because the systems in the institutions that have been built and are still at play right now are built on the old system. The people in it might be catching up, but the systems have fallen behind, and those HR departments are not going to be forgiving for a lot of the things that people in this community talk about. We get labeled all sorts of things for some of the obvious facts we point out about certain groups, it's still a sensitive, careful game, and there's a time and a place, and you've got to be careful. You have to be so careful who you tell. And I've told lots of stories of my own life in that series, again, which I don't have to go into too much detail right now. We're just kind of breezing over a few things. But I guess what I'm trying to emphasize here is that I understand. I really understand what it's like to be in this community, which has become a community now. It wasn't even a community when I started. Like, it's only slowly become one as we've kind of dwelled together and commented together and formed together in private groups outside of these platforms. And now we have like a semi-connected community where we all know who each other is, and again, regular faces and the rest of it, which is wonderful, because this is something we need. We need this in order to drop the isolation in our normal life, and also to have the ability to let things go in our day-to-day normal life, which we can focus on having our community here instead, and not burden our poor wife or husband or children or mother or father or best friend with these things they just don't want to hear or know about. Now we can have our outlets and we can talk about with other people who have already woken up. Because this is another thing as well. There are people out there who, look, they don't want to know and they're not going to know whether you like it or not. Which is why you have to let it go. You have to let it go. You're not going to convince anybody by forcing things on them. I know like the They Live scene where he's wrestling with his mate to put the glasses on and his mate's like, no, and he's like fighting him and punching each other and refusing to put on the glasses that will show him everything. And he's like, put these damn things on and see what I see. He's like, no, screw you. And he's like, like that is how it is. But they're not going to be thankful for what you do in the end. If they don't want to know, they're not going to be happy that you showed them. They're not going to be thankful for it. It's not something, and they'll just go back into denial more likely. It's not like the movies, you know. They're not going. They're just, and if anything, to make sure it never happens again, you've lost them. They'll leave your life. They're gone. They're out of your life forever. And that's just how it goes, because that's how people are. Like I said, the truth is a volatile piece of dynamite. It's a weapon, and people don't like it when you start like waving dynamite around in the face. They don't. You've become a threat. You've become a threat to their comfort, and they're going to do anything they can to protect themselves, to protect the bubble, the duvet they wrap themselves in from reality. And some people need it. Some people can't cope. Some people cannot know this stuff and handle it effectively. Some people probably shouldn't know these things as well. I think there are limits to what people should and shouldn't know about just how far the corruption goes. I will just caveat that with saying very clearly right now, because a lot of people really fail to understand what I'm saying here, is this has nothing to do with spreading the truth of Jesus. Do that as much as you want. Say it wherever you want. You're not going to lose your life for doing that. Okay? You could even talk about it in the workplace and people probably won't care. But people should know about that, and that's the truth, the way in the life, and the ultimate truth that everybody should know about, whether they know Jesus or not and what he did for us. And absolutely, that's it. I'm talking about conspiracies. You need to separate the two right now. They're a different thing. Okay? Now, Jesus, I will say, was probably the first conspiracy theorist. He was the first to point out the corruption of all the systems and the institutions and the rest of it. I understand, and there's wonderful parallels there. But let's just get the gospel down first, the basic synoptic gospels and salvation. And yeah, preach that as much as you want, as wide as you want, and don't worry about the retribution. God's got your back and the rest of it. But when it comes to other things like the banking institutions, the medical corruptions, the media corruptions, the signs and symbols and everything, the occult secret societies, all that kind of stuff, the inside jobs, the false flags, the scripted world that we live in and the rest of it, all that kind of stuff, that's where you're going to start losing things. And I didn't even say the controversial topics there, which you can go see on Patreon, but there are things as well in this community which, again, will get you in deep trouble for talking about. Deep, deep trouble. And that's where you need to start being clever about how you're going to do this. And in a way, like I said, it's good we have this community, because we can now kind of, that isolation can be alleviated, and you can realize there are 120,000 people on this channel alone who get it, who know. That should be a sign that, okay, I'm not alone. There are people who do know this. Okay, and it gives you that ability, that comfort, that to be yourself again and be in the world, but not of the world, as we're supposed to be. Because whether you like it or not, you live in a society. You live in one. You're not going to change it. It's not going to change overnight. There's no revolution coming, as much as you like to think there is. There really isn't. Okay. You have to live in it. And you need to find a way to adapt if you want to survive in it as well. Now, look, and I get it. When it comes to Christianity, you're supposed to lay down your life and be persecuted and the rest of it. But yeah, persecuted for Christ's name's sake, not for secret societies and occult weird knowledge's name's sake, okay? There are certain things that are just not worth it. And if you do go all guns blazing and burn all your bridges and come across as too insane and aren't careful about how you handle this stuff, you'll be cut off at the knees and you'll be rendered ineffective before you even had a chance to make a difference in the world. You might even get sectioned. You might get locked up. You might get put into some kind of program somewhere or medicated in some way because your family's worried about you. You know, he's lost his mind. Oh no, he's gone crazy. Like, that kind of stuff has happened and could still happen to you. So you have to be so careful. Protect yourself first. If you're smart about it, you can reach more people. There's all that kind of thing as well. Like I said, this is what I do. This is what I like to talk about. These are the things I've noticed, and these are the things that the Truth of Therapy session, the podcast, which has been going on now since this show started, is there for the people out there who are struggling, I suppose. If you need community, join my Telegram, for example, or comment in these chat sections, say your piece here. I hope while people are listening live, please share with me your story in the chat. Say it, you know, say what's happened to you. Say if you have lost friends, loved ones, friends along the way. I know I have. I really have. My best friend is out of my life because of this. And I know it's because of this. They never told me, but I know it is. And this is the thing, like, people will remove themselves from you based on these type of things. And look, good riddance. He was never really my friend to begin with. I learned. But this is another thing that, like, this thing will cause that to happen. Maybe it's supposed to happen. Maybe it's not in many cases. But, you know, it will happen. It will happen. And it's not a matter of if, but when for most people in your life if you've started going down this path. So we need this community. We need this. This is how we cope. This is how we survive. This is how we keep going and moving on through this world. Meetups are probably a good idea as well if you want to do that, but keep them private. Don't do it publicly. Keep it small, you know. I don't think we need giant conventions or anything like this because they're just going to get feted up to the nines, aren't they? Absolutely. But if you have a chance to make a local Facebook group or something, or if you commune with people in Discords or Telegram chats and the rest of it and manage to make friendships out of this that are tangible and real, great, do that. You know, we have to be clever about how we do this. But I think as time goes on, there are more people waking up and coming to these realizations. But the problem is they're like 2 decades behind. They're having revelations a good hardcore chunk of us had a decade ago and maybe 2 decades ago. And they're fresh, they're new, and they're easily malleable. And this is the problem. There are a lot of traps in the truther community. Feds, shills, agents, you know, who are literally directing these new lambs to the slaughter, like, and are leading them down very false belief systems and paths and ideologies and realities, or feeding them false information to warp their view on what the truth actually is, because they know they're looking for answers, and oh boy, do some of these shills have answers, you know, that's the problem. And they have about 90% truth, 10% lies. And then you'll be corralled and you'll be a Gnostic wizard before you know it, you know. This is the other problem. There's a lot of problems with the community, and there's a lot of new people who are, is it called the Dunning-Kruger effect? They think they know everything. They're rising up and they're experts in everything about the corruption because they've been a conspiracy theorist for like a year or maybe a few months. And now they're making channels and they're out there spreading their own nonsense and like their own interpretations without real investigation. And then, you know, they're riding high on this confidence. They're all confidence, no knowledge. And I've been there. I was there about 15 years ago, you know. And then I had a crash after the first 3 years. And I had a 5-year period where I was off YouTube because my workplace found my channel, you know, and they threatened me. They were basically saying, "Oh, Paul, you can't be a manager at this supermarket and have this YouTube channel. What if the staff find it? One of them could get offended by some of the things you say and the worldviews you have. And we, as a multicultural, diverse company, we're not going to be able to defend you. You know, we're going to have to take their side. So it's probably in your best interest just to get rid of it, you know." And I was scared. I had debt. You know, I just got the position. I needed the money. I needed the experience and the rest of it, and I capitulated and I shut myself down for 5 years. And I pretended to be a supermarket manager for 5 years until I eventually said, "No, I'm not doing that anymore. Screw you guys. This company's hell and it's horrible and you're all evil. And I'm a conspiracy theorist. So I'm going to go and do what I want to do with my life." And I did it. But those 5 years was my Dunning-Kruger effect peak and then trough where I realized I know nothing. And it's actually way harder than you think it is to go through the world being one of these people. And there are harsh truths and realities I need to still study out and understand. And, I had to go through the whole Christian walk as well. I had to go through being born again, breaking away of my addictions, and becoming a new creature, polishing myself up in a way, because I was a mess who still didn't. I was new and I was overwhelmed. I was getting angry and bitter, and I was going down some dark paths and nihilistic paths as well. And then that 5 years, for as much as I was forced off of YouTube, I thank God for that 5 years, because it gave me some perspective and it gave me time to study silently without running my mouth publicly, thinking I know everything. And that was probably healthy in the long run. So I think maybe God did that for a reason. And here I am now. I would say I'm not the same person I was when I started this channel. And you can go back and look at some of my really old videos. If any of them are still around, a lot of them had to go because they were I was pushing the censors too far, and a lot of them got banned and removed and strikes here and there. But if you look at the older videos, you can tell I'm not the same. And it's like I'm still me. I'm not being replaced by a clone or something. But I've calmed down. And I gained some perspective, and I went out there and did some real studying, and I realized I probably shouldn't have been doing what I was doing then, because I didn't actually know what I was talking about as much as I do now. But I say now, like, I still don't know enough. And you will watch my videos, most of the time I'm like, I don't really know what's going on. Perhaps it's this, maybe it's that. We know we have this going on, and they have these agendas running in the background here, and I try and lay out the whole map. And I'm there saying, but I still don't want to say it is that, because it could be this, it could be this. And I'm more uncertain, but more knowledgeable at the same time. And I think that's where you want to get to. Like, people who say they know what the answer is and speak with confidence tend to be full of shit. That's what I found. They're full of it. And there's a lot of those people. Wendy, that's exactly what a clone would say, Paul. You got me. But yeah, you know what I mean. Like, there's a lot of people in the truth community who are all confidence, no substance. And they're the ones who get the most clicks, the most listens, get the most controversy, and they usually pan out to be charlatans, con artists, or just idiots, just fools who prove themselves to be foolish in many aspects of their own life, in the private life, which eventually becomes public as well, because these people are all about spectacles, so they end up getting investigated, and all sorts of crap comes out. And it's kind of, well, they should have been working on becoming wise before they started actually talking about things they probably had no business talking about. But then you get a lot of these new people in the community, like I said, who just run straight to doing this immediately. And I would say, take your time, and also ask yourself, do you want to be a public figure in this community? Really? Do you understand the consequences of what you're doing? Really? You're kind of blacklisting yourself for a lot of things. For me, it was kind of too late. I already did that and realized, but I went all in. I'm an artist. I write books. I draw. People commission me for drawings. I'm a musician. I make music. I make videos, and I found a way to monetize the things I'm good at. So I got lucky, is what I'm trying to say. Not everyone's in a privileged position like me to talk about these things. I thank God that I am. I do. It's all glory to him, and I pray I can keep doing this for as long as he'll allow me to. But I know my circumstances are extremely unique for most people. Now, if you do have a job, a family, people who rely on you, and you've got all this stuff going on in your head, think twice before you suddenly go out there and make yourself a public figure on this. There are consequences. Have you fully thought out those consequences? And before you start running your mouth, do you really know what you're talking about? It's tough. But again, I guess this is another tip for truthers I should probably make someday. Think twice before making a channel. But these are things these are things I've just picked up over a long time that I try and relay to an audience who may be new and is in the thick of that fog that covers you in the early days of becoming a conspiracy theorist, where you're just reeling with information and you haven't categorized it yet, you haven't really thought about it yet, and you're still in that mode where you're chilling with your mates having a joint or something, and before you know it, you realize you've been talking for like 2 hours without taking a breath, and they haven't said a single word. Like, have you done that? I bet you have. I know I did. And you realize, oh, I'm so sorry. Like, what have I done? Like, they haven't got a word in edgewise. The truth is, they stopped listening to you after the first 10 minutes. And you're just that guy now who does that, you know. But if you're still in that zone where you end up doing that, now, like, if Rich coming from me, this is what I do for a living. I talk for 2 hours straight without shutting up, you know. But if you're doing that to like your friends and family, like, you're still in that place where you're still figuring it out. You're still working it out, you know. And again, for those people in that zone, like, this is what this is for. This is what the Truth of Therapy sessions are for. It's kind of, I want to help you get through this. I want to give you a community you can let these things out to, rather than the close friends and family around you. Because, you know, I've got other tips as well, because I know the attitude a lot of people want to take. They want to, like, say, well, you know, those people who don't know and won't listen, screw them. Kind of like, no. Those are your parents, your brothers, your sisters, your children, your grandparents, your friends. These are your family. These are the people you need in the world. These are the people who are going to help you get through the hard times. This is your real support network. This is your village. These are your people. This is your tribe. They're not just idiots. Okay? They're living in a corrupt world with you. They're suffering with you. Them not knowing about the details of why they're suffering so much does not mean they're suffering any less. And it does not mean that they do not need your help and support, and that in this world, while you're living with them, you will not need their help and support at some point as well. Don't burn bridges if you don't have to, and be forgiving of those who don't know or don't want to know. Forgive them, love them, alleviate the suffering for them as much as you can while you're here. If they don't want to hear it, respect that. Because this is another thing. People who want to know this information want to know. I made the choice to look into these things. I made the decision to want to know more. I said to myself, I'm interested in this and I want to do more research. If they haven't done any of that, leave them alone. It's their choice. They have the free will to make that choice. And until they're in that mindset where they have consciously chosen to learn about these things, anything you say is falling on deaf ears, and it will only end in them leaving you, cutting them out of your life, or something like that. What's the point? Over some conspiracy theories, you're going to lose your friends and family. Really, you know, you're going to purposefully blow up relationships over chemtrails. Do you know what I mean? Like, really think about it. That's exactly what the controllers want, is it not? Us all separated, weaker, you know, no family units, you know, no support systems. That's what they want, isn't it? Don't give it to them. Knowing some trippy things about conspiracies online has not in some way made you superior or better than people all of a sudden. It hasn't elevated you to any plane of enlightenment, as we like to consider ourselves. You haven't really unplugged from the matrix. You're still living in it with the rest of them when you really get down to it. I know it feels like this, but you're still in the world. You still have a life to live here, and don't forget that. Don't lose yourself to all this information to the point where you no longer live. You haven't left your room in weeks and you stink. You go out and touch some grass every now and then. Smell the flowers. Play with your children. Do the thing that makes existing worth existing. You know, God didn't create us to have a spirit of fear. He created us to go forth, have dominion, multiply, have dominion over the earth, live. I created you to live. Go and live the life that I have laid out for you. Go and do it. Don't waste it. Don't squander it. And again, a lot of conspiracy theorists and people in this community squander their time and their life in misery and nihilism, stewing in these things, forgetting the bigger picture perspective that you have a life here to live, and don't let the bastards steal it from you. You know, and there'll be struggles, there'll be problems. I'm not saying it's going to be perfect or easy, but it doesn't have to be suffering all the time, and you certainly don't have to live in fear while here. If anything, with this newfound perspective, you're in a very privileged position. where you can avoid the things that are bad for you, encourage those around you to also do the same by living by an example, not telling others what to do, but simply living how it should be lived in a world full of corruption, and people will take notice. And you can maybe alleviate some of the suffering for those around you caused by the system. And that's as much as you really can do. If we're going to be honest with ourselves, you want to become a revolutionary leader and go and literally storm Parliament or something, good luck to you. It ain't going to happen. If you want to start that if you're in it for that kind of fight, you're in their game. You're playing their game. Fundamentally, what you can do to instigate real change in the here and now is alleviate the suffering of others. Sacrifice yourself, offer yourself up to the cross every day, and live for others, and you'll find things will get better. The world will get better very quickly. It will not seem so bad. The control that those people have over us will get less, because you're not playing or focusing on their overlay or augmented reality on the world anymore. You're living in the real world, dealing with real problems, not the symptoms of the problems and trying to mask them with pleasures or hedonism or whatever it is. You'll finally understand the root cause of the issue because you've learned these things, and you can actually deal with the problems head on rather than falling into victimhood, like, oh, woe is me, why is this happening to us, this is so unfair, I don't understand why bad things happen to good people all the time, I guess I'll just have to take the pills and watch the TV show and grind through and just try and deal with it, the hopelessness, the trained hopelessness idea. Instead, we can finally understand, I know why this is happening, I know the bastard's responsible for this, and I know how to avoid this happening to other people, because I understand the corruption now and where it is. And that's no longer a victim. That's somebody who's taking control. That's how this information should be in a benefit to you. Someone said to me the other day in a comment, oh, you conspiracy theorists, all you do is talk about doom and gloom all the time without offering any solutions. Like, what's the hope in all of this? What's the point in all this information and all this bad news if there's no hope at the end of it and there's no solutions? I just gave one there. Okay. But when it comes to bad news, sometimes bad news is just bad news. That's kind of my response to that. Sometimes things are just shit. And that's the way it is. Okay. All we can do is sacrifice ourselves for others in that moment. And in spite of it being shit, we do the right thing anyway. That's as much as you can do. Because sometimes you can't change things. I am one man. You are one person. And there's not much of a collective cohesiveness within the truther community, really, to get together and make that kind of change. There isn't. I know some optimists out there want to believe that there is, but I've been here long enough now. And look, I'm an optimistic guy. By nature, I got this tattoo when I was 17 because I'm so happy and optimistic, And I like to see the best in people, and I like to think about good things, and I like to look on the bright side. But I'm also a realist when I need to be. So's my wife, and she's definitely brought more of that out in me. And the reality is, no, you're not going to change this. This script is playing out whether we like it or not. All we can do is decide while the world burns around us, am I going to be a victim, or am I going to do something that I can actually do in my immediate surroundings for the people around me right here, right now? Am I going to implement the small amount of change I can implement while I have the chance to do it? And if everybody did do that individually, not as like a collective getting together with placards type revolution thing, if everyone individually took on their own responsibility in their life to actually make an active difference to the people around them right now, then everything would get better. But they want you in groups, they want you in factions, because factions can be controlled, they can be directed, they can be co-opted. Okay? And there's a plethora of communities in the truther community who want to box you in and get you into like a specific faction within the truther community, because you can control that. Not naming any here, because I'm a polite guy and I don't want to point fingers or accuse people wrongly or anything, but we all know where there's a faction or two in the truther community of certain types of groups of people with belief systems who have hunkered down in their belief system. Now look, I'm not saying I'm perfect. Maybe I'm hypocritical. I believe in Christ. I believe it's the truth. And I believe there's a pernicious, horrible conspiracy out there to try and paste all of that as either evil or untrue or he never existed, which again is bullshit. It's all real. And it really is the truth, and so is God. That's where I stand. Yes. But when it comes to conspiracy theories, I'm open. I'm not going to put all my eggs in one basket on things I can never 100% be certain about. I only have my certainty in Christ and God because I've had spiritual experiences which have proved it to me personally, individually. And I can't deny it. I can't personally deny it because of that. And I have my testimony, but that doesn't mean I'm going to convince you that it's true just because I have my testimony. And I get that, and I know that, and I forgive, and I'm willing to move on, and I'm not preachy about it for that reason. But if we're just dealing with conspiracies alone, too many people have made their entire identities about specific conspiracies. I mean, one obvious example, which I don't think will offend too many people, is something like Mandela effect or flat earth. It's old hat stuff now, isn't it? But a lot of people have become nothing but the flat earth people, or nothing but the Mandela effect people, and they have formulated a identity surrounding it, and that's where you start getting issues. As soon as you become an identitarian around conspiracy topics, they've got you, because now they can control you. Now you have your celebrities and talking heads that you're going to follow. They can co-opt. Now you're within a movement they can co-opt. Now you're entered into an echo chamber that they can amplify. And this is why my channel always keeps it broad. This is why I talk about all of these things, all these topics, all these groups, because I'm here to look at it from the outside in. I want to understand not only the conspiracy as it is and why the control system is what it is, but also the culture of conspiracy online, which has its equal measure of control going on, and problems and factions and divisions and fights and bickering and disagreements on all sorts of ideas and false information and shills and all sorts of things, but also good people. And there's a fight within even this community that I want to discuss and talk about. So you know, if you've just come to the conspiracy for the first time, you've learned a few trippy, harsh truths, and you're reeling about it. Hopefully, listening to me right now may have taught you that there's a hell of a lot more to uncover yet, and it all is not what it seems with some of the people you're probably listening to currently as well. I'll tell you that much. And look, I've talked to a lot of people. I've done the podcast circuit. I think I've been on probably every conspiracy podcast that's been around so far. Maybe there's a handful yet I have yet to reach, you know. But I've talked to all these people, and there's a game. There's a game for a lot of these podcasters. And look, I have a podcast. This is it. But I'm not like a podcaster. It's just something I do on the side. A lot of people are only podcasters. That's what they do. They're a podcaster. And podcasters need guests. They always need the next guest. And you'll find a lot of people who have put themselves under the label of being a conspiracy theorist podcast. They will have one guest on one week, talk about completely one crazy idea and topic and worldview. And then they'll have somebody on the next week with a completely contradictory view to everything that was just said there. There's no integrity or consistency for a lot of these podcasts in the conspiracy community, because they don't care about that. They need content. Very few of them stand on one thing or a principle or have an idea. Not even like, you don't have to like stand on one topic, but they have no principles. You know what I mean? Like, there's no things that they do know which they're willing to stand upon, which are obvious and self-evident. You know, a lot of them are just in it for the airtime, and that's where you find the corruption comes in. That's where some issues arise, and that's where these voices out there who want to deceive us insert themselves. They get into the podcast circuits, and then they spread their disinformation campaign through all the podcasts because they're edgy and it's something different and weird or something. But then once it's done, it's done. And you find anybody and everybody today seems to have a podcast about conspiracy. It's a growing community. And I think the term I want to give it, what I've titled it, is conspiratainment. They're in it for the entertainment factor, not because they actually have any foundational belief in what they're talking about. They know it's a niche they can capitalize on, so that's what they're doing. But they don't actually believe anything. They don't believe in anything. They don't stand for anything. And there's a lot of that going on as well. So again, the truth community is complicated. It's complicated. And even, like I said, even those that I trust, who I know have been in the game for decades and have proven to me over years that they're legit and they're real, we don't agree on a lot of things. We still disagree about a lot of stuff, but I know they're genuine. I know they believe in what they're talking about. And I know they sincerely think they're helping people and want their thing to be known because their angle is offering a new piece to the bigger picture and they believe in it. They stand on it. They have integrity. And again, it takes time to learn who those people are. You're not just going to be able to figure that out straight away. There's some very convincing people that crop up in the truth community every 2 years or so who on the surface seem like wonderful. And then the true colors suddenly come out a year or two down the line. I've had people on my channel who have stabbed me in the back less than a year later, and started attacking me and accusing me of being things which are just grossly untrue and out of left field, and with not a leg to stand on. And I can't help, as somebody in the community, wonder, were you a plant? Were you sent in to infiltrate communities, bigger channels, and then create factions against them and lead the revolution against them just to destabilize the movement? I call me a conspiracy theorist. Maybe I'm being paranoid, but I don't know. Maybe they are, maybe they aren't. Who am I to really say? Maybe they're just an idiot. Maybe they're just dumb. Maybe I should not attribute malevolence before I could attribute ignorance, Anyway, I'll take a quick break there, guys. My throat's going. I've got a bit of a chesty cough, as you can hear. I'm going to have a bit of a drink of water. I've been going for an hour. While I go and do that, I'll play a song for you from my new album. If you haven't seen that, it's called Stupid Prizes. I might redo this. I might get rid of the stupid prizes and the Paul Stobbs in the bottom there and just have it as an image as the album cover. But this is one of the newer songs I've written, and well, what did I even call the damn thing? I don't even know what I called it. What did I call it? I got it Living Water. And I am working on some new music as well. I've got some things running through right now, some lyrics, some chords that hopefully this album will get much bigger as time goes on. But if you're wondering, this is where it is on Spotify. If you want to go and listen to it, go and check it out. But I'll play Living Water for you guys now while I have a quick break. I'll see you in 3 minutes. But not before I plug my headphones in so it doesn't actually blast through the system.
A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K.
That was the Wiggles. We're not listening to that. Here we go. My back is stabbed enough, oh, could I take a break? This world is draining me, a glass of living water, please. My eyes are aching now, oh, could you take this beam? The abyss stood back and left, I remember all your past. I sing to heaven, please deliver me. The price is heavy, I heard you paid the levy. I sing for peace, now don't look down on me. Can't a man dream? That's a lovely building, oh, is it built on feelings? When it falls, you can crawl, grab his hem and don't let go. But I see on the telly, the gospel is the belly, forever feeling empty, the bread of life is always free. Well, I sing to heaven, oh, please deliver me. The price is heavy, I heard you paid the levy. Well, I sing for peace, now don't look down on me. Can't a man dream? Carry this for me. Ease my knees. Unburden me, please, Lord, please. My back you stabbed enough, or could I take a break? This world is draining me, a glass of living water, please. My eyes are aching now, oh, could you take this beam? The abyss stood back and laughed, I remember all your past. I sing to heaven, oh, please deliver me. The price is heavy, I heard you paid the levy. Well, I sing for peace now, don't look down on me. I need to sleep, can't I dream? And we are back. Yeah, sorry about the random Wiggles outburst there. You know, my son really loves the remix album of the Wiggles' greatest hits, where it's like rave music versions of it. And it looks like that must have been the last thing I listened to on Spotify, which I pressed play to. It's an absolute banger of an album. If you haven't checked it out, go and check it out. Yeah, funny. But I hope you like my song as well. I hope you enjoy that. You can go check that out. I think links are down below. I'm not totally sure, but you can find the album. Just type in Paul Stobbs or Stupid Prizes on Spotify, iTunes, wherever you get your music from, and it should pop up. So there we go. Just going through the chat, it seems like we've had a good, healthy conversation going on there. There was some fan funding, which I must have missed. Let me just see this. Nope. Says members only message here. Wonderful message today to help others. Thank you. Oh, I'm glad you enjoyed that. I got a $20 super chat from Happy Scon, and they say, thank you for always sharing your thoughts and experiences. You have a gift to put into words the lived experience of this endless rabbit hole. Really appreciate the Tips for Truthers series. Oh, thank you. I'm glad somebody out there appreciates the Tips for Truthers series. It's seldom missed. It's missed on my channel. A lot of people are sleeping on it, to be honest. They don't realize it's there. But please, if you go to my channel, my content is evergreen. This is something else I want to make clear to the new people. It's evergreen content. You can click on any video on my channel and it'll be relevant to whatever you're going through, you know. I tend to always try to keep it that way. There might be the odd one here and there where it's topical about things happening at the current time, but it's rare I do that. And even when I do that, I usually talk about it a week after the fact, look at all the ways it went and try and fit it into what were they really going for with this type of attitude, you know? So you can go back onto my playlist section on my channel and you'll find everything is kind of separated into relevant playlists there. I have my Nephilim Look Like Clowns research. I have all the Little Season research in a separate one. I have the Tips for Truthers series. I have all my random ruminations in another. I have my podcast in another. I have the live Q&As as well. So they are different. Apologies. Yeah, I got a nasty chest thing going on. It seems like the last final throes of the whatever I've been dealing with for the past 2 weeks is coming out in a nasty, dry, chesty cough, so I do apologise. Wendy's just posted Tips for Truthers playlist right there as well. Members only stuff is so green. Okay. Yeah, I don't really do anything on YouTube for members only. I'm not gonna lie. There's a few things on there, but I don't do members only stuff on YouTube. I do have members on YouTube, and thank you for the support. I really appreciate it. But if you really want to support me and get access to extra content, which is not on YouTube, it's all on Patreon. And there's a lot there. You can go and check it out. There's a lot of stuff on Patreon, which you will not see anywhere else. That's where I've consolidated extra stuff. For people who really want to support me, go to Patreon. If you're going to pay a monthly something, don't bother with YouTube, only because YouTube will take like 60% of it, 40%. It's a huge percentage. Patreon will only take 5%. It's perfect. Go there, please. And I will not disappoint you. There's extra content there, okay? Lots of extra content. Patreon, that's right. Whiskey, honey, and whole lemon, says Mod17. Drink in the morning. Oh, but I mean, I don't worry about me. I'm on it. I've just started a anti-parasite protocol. I'm doing the wormwood walnut husks, clove, and garlic protocol, but I'm doing it in capsule form this time. I did it in tincture form last time. It's time to do a parasite cleanse. I'm definitely feeling it. I think winter got to me, all the eating and the excess got to me in some way. And I'm going through a fasting period now. I'm intermittent fasting again, and I've just started the parasite cleanse protocol as well. So that's going to happen. And then maybe at the end of that, I might blast myself with this, which I'm not allowed to talk about or name. And then hopefully I should feel a lot better and come out the worst of it, to be honest. In terms of respiratory herbs, I know mullein's really good for that. I might get some mullein tea or something. That might help me too. I deal with chronic bronchitis. Lemon, lime, and tonic water is great for your lungs. Well, thanks for letting me know. The mystical folk vibe is lit. Make more songs, Paul says. Orderly Phoenix. Oh, I'm working on some things. I've got some songs in the work. I was jamming the other day trying to figure out a chord progression for the next song. And yeah, there'll be more. There'll be more. That's just a start. I think that's going to be a new revenue stream endeavor I want to open up as well. It would be nice to be a paid musician to add to the repertoire. So far, the views on the music actually has been wonderful. Like I'm actually really happy with how it's performed. It seems to be consistently getting about 500 to 600 listens a day, which is a lot for new artists who's just put some stuff out for the first time. And it's just a crappy EP as well. The quality's even that great because these things were recorded over years and in different times and with different microphones and different setups. But now I've got this setup and I've got the preamp and all sorts of things and a professional setup basically. I'm going to start recording a lot more music through this and maybe make a more substantial acoustic album. I think everything I do will be acoustic. That's just who I am. And everything I do is live as well. I don't layer. I sit down, play the guitar and sing and record it all in one setting. So every song you hear, that's how it went. There was no layering or doing the guitar, then doing a track with the singing and then adding stuff in afterwards. All my music is done in one take, live, by me. Every time. And that's how it's my unrealistic, ridiculous standard I set for myself. But I find there's something in the live way of doing things that adds to it. I think things get lost in the mix when you do it the track by track. And that's just a personal preference. That's just me. I'm not trying to be pretentious or anything. It's just the way I do it. I hope it's a song about your loving wife, says the wife. Yeah, I'll write you a song. I'll write you a song, Keely. Don't worry. I've waited 7 years, it's time. I will write you a song, yeah. I vote for you getting a song. There you go. Okay. I will do. The one I'm working on right now is not a song for you, so don't get offended when the next one comes out and it's not about that. But I'll write you a love song, wife, don't worry. You should do shows. I don't think I'm going to do any live shows or anything. I don't know about that. And my gigging days are behind me. I think I left that life behind, but I'm still musical. I still want to create. If you can get an Italian mandolin sample or addition in a song, it would be dope. Who am I? Am I Mumford and Sons? I don't know. Maybe I'll throw a harmonica in there one day. That's probably as far as I'm going to go. You've been saying that for a while, still no song. You're making me look bad in front of my friends. Stop it. No, I'll get round to it when I have time. But you know, I barely have time, to be honest. Maybe once I've got this book out the way, I'll focus on my music career. But right now, most of my free time, when I get it, I'm chipping away at the Nephilim Look Like Clowns. I mean, I'll just show you guys the work I've been doing here. I want you to see the numbers, okay? Because it's getting big. So I've got volume 2 up here. I'll share the screen with you. So this is what I do, guys. If you don't know, I'm a writer as well, and I'm writing my second book, The Nephilim Look Like Clowns, volume 2 currently. And just for example, so I've got volume 2 up there. If I go to docs and bring up volume 1, and if we view word count, hopefully it'll show me. I'm getting nothing. Let's see that. View format tools, word counts. So this one is the final book after editing and everything else is at 92,704 words, 173 pages in this document. That actually translates to about 330 something, maybe about 338 pages, I think it is, when it comes to formatting it into book format, which is here. This is the book. So yeah, what is this? This comes out at, when all done and dusted, finally in the finish, this comes out at 292 pages, but then there's another 30 pages of references or something like this. So it comes out roughly about 3 something. That's with 92,000 words. And that was the first book. So on the second book, which I'm currently writing right now, if I do word counts, I'm on 50,625 words. So I'm 40,000 short of the previous book. But that's not bad going. I was on about 36,000 not that long ago, and I've been just kind of plowing through writing dissertation after dissertation on all sorts of things. North America. I've been going through South America and all the tribes there as well. I've done all of Europe. That was a big one. You can see all the subheadings here. They are endless. They go on and 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 on. And yeah, there's a lot of pages here. So this is actually on 103 pages currently. Like I said, the first one was 173 when all done and dusted. So I'm not far off, really. I'm not actually that far off getting the second book done. I don't know if this second book's going to be longer or shorter than the first. I have the feeling it might roughly be the same at this rate. I was thinking it might be shorter, but the more I'm writing, I'm just currently going through Africa right now. I've been doing about Egyptian, Islamic Jinn, West African Vodun, the Mandinka Kankarang, the Dogon of Mali, the Gerawal festivals, body modifications throughout Africa, the red ochre and white powder body paints, the Pende Minjanja. There's loads of things here. There's loads of things. I'm not even done. I think I maybe have a few more to get through Africa. I've not really done South Africa yet. But then obviously across from that, there's Madagascar as well, which has its own thing going on. And then I need to go into India, Asia, Australia. And then that'll be the first section done of the second book. But in the second half is about the modern manifestations of the clown. I've done the chapter on clown murderers. That one's already done here. I've also done the chapter on coulrophobia and the fear of clowns. All the studies are here and everything's there. I've done the chapter on this clown sightings already. So that's all done and dusted. And then I just need to do film, TV, and art, the music industry, and then conclusion. So I'm actually, when you look at what's left, in the second half, it's just these two. Chapter 31 and 32 need doing, and then a conclusion. I don't know how big the conclusion's actually going to be. It probably won't be as big as I've written out here. It might just be one thing. And then in the first half, so only 2 chapters left in the second half of the book. And in the first half, I have 3 chapters left. So it's actually, it might end up being a little bit shorter, maybe 150 pages, not 173. That's kind of what I'm aiming for. So we're actually on track here, hopefully for a July, June publish date for the second volume of the Nephilim Look Like Clowns. So there's an update for you guys. That's what I've been doing. That's what I'm doing in my spare time. So songwriting is a little bit of a, if I have a few minutes spare, perhaps maybe I'll quickly try and get a song out. Maybe. It's not it's not my priority list. That's my priority. Get that second book out. And then I can just let it go. Then I can finally move on. I can just be free from the burden of having to write a book and having people waiting on me and depending on me and all sorts of things. So if people are wondering about the book, that's what I'm doing. You know, that's what all my spare time goes into that, to be honest. Can't wait for my book. Yeah, exactly. And once that's finished, there'll be 2 volumes. The first one, and then there'll be a second one that can go next to it on your shelf like this. You know, that's a volume 1 and volume 2 with a slightly different, same theme, different smile. But there will be a combined volumes 1 and 2 when finished. There'll be 1 book. and hopefully it won't be quite as thick as this. Maybe I can get it down to something a bit thinner. It'll put Gary Wayne's book to shame in terms of size. I might have to make the letter size smaller to make it go on less pages, so it doesn't seem so excessive. But that'll be a combined volumes 1 and 2 available as well for people who are interested. But if you've bought, like, it depends on how you want to do it. There's options for people then. And then I can start working on the audiobook as well. But the thing is, this is how I'm going to do this. Once the book is finished, there will be a final run through where I read it out loud and record it for the audiobook. And in that process, I will edit the book for flow and make it so it's readable as though you can say it out loud. And that will be the final proofreading session. So the audiobook should come out with the final product, with the book, as is done, because I find the audiobook reading process is the best way to make sure every single flaw and issue has been dealt with, because I'm reading it out loud. I can hear the problems, I can hear the flow, the punctuation issues and all that kind of stuff. So hopefully when the second book comes out, the audiobook will drop with it. So you'll have choices, people. You'll have choices. What's your next scholarly research going to be? Proven the CT, please. I don't know. I might write a book about the conspiracy culture. I might do that. I might call it Tips for Truthers or something, or call it the truth of therapy session. You know, like I might actually talk about like a memoir about being a podcaster in the truther community, the people you talk to, you know, the podcasters you discuss and things like this. But I'll probably use pseudonyms instead of people's real names so people can get an idea of what it's actually like behind the scenes, dealing with the community and the creative side of the community, the content creators. Maybe I'll do that. Maybe I will. Maybe I won't. Maybe the threat of simply doing that will keep a lot of people off my back. I don't know. I think I'm not saying I've finished writing forever, but I think I'll take a nice, well-earned few-year break after I finish The Nephilim Look Like Clowns, because it is all-consuming. The pressure is unbearable. It's hard. It's really hard. Especially when you got 2 kids, very young children, you know, and the rest of it. And people have been good. The community's good. They're patient. And there's always I can already see some golden opportunities for some adverts because of this, about how long it's taken for me to do the second book. There's a lot of comedy there I can draw upon for when I make my own adverts, which is what I do for the books, you know. My wife says she's going to write a book. She has a lot of things to say, yeah. By the way, just while I'm at it, I've got 3 hardcovers left here of my batch. These are for signed copies. So if you want a signed copy, I've got 3 left. Email me at understandingconspiracy@gmail.com and I can get this out to you in the post. It's £60 for the hardcover signed, sent in the mail to America. I'll do it for £50 if you're in the UK, but America, the postage and then the new tax on top of that is pretty extortionate, so that's why there's a markup on the price there. If I had paperback, it would be cheaper, but I've only got hardcover left right now. So if you want a signed copy, just email me at understandingconspiracy@gmail.com and I'll send you a payment link and we can arrange to get that out in the post. If you're interested, it's another way to support me if you want to support me. So there we go. You need a inspired team that will work for no pay in this world. I don't think so. And I'd feel bad. I think in the future, if the channel gets big enough, it's not that big right now. I mean, I have 120,000 subs, and that doesn't equate to much in terms of ad revenue, really. On a good month when I was riding high, especially during the little season period, I was sometimes hitting maybe £3,000 in ad revenue a month. But right now, with the way it's going, I'm lucky if I make a third of that in a month now, which is not a living wage when you add it up, okay? So that's just ad revenue alone. That's ad revenue, about £1,000 a month, maybe sometimes. It used to be somewhere in the middle, but it goes up and down, and it's minimum wage, if that, you know. So I don't rely solely on that. Patreon, people who support me on Patreon is a good chunk. That helps a lot as well, bring that up to a livable wage. And then obviously book sales, audiobook sales, podcasts, ad revenue, which is like I think $50 a month or something. Who knows what the music's going to come out as? Apparently, I find out in 3 months what that earns me. Again, probably like $50 a month or something. So I do what I can to check and balance all of that out. If I had the money, though, I would hire people. I would make Understanding Conspiracy like a company that actually hires people, and I get a professional like audio person in to do all the audio, so I don't have to deal with all the setup and the cameras and the prep. I'd hire an office space. I get people to come in and interview them in person. I do all of that stuff if I had a team, but it's just me, and I don't make enough money to pay another person, so I do everything myself. I think you have an idea worthy of pursuit, and I think your family and faith are holding you back. You need some help, buddy. Just my opinion, don't take it personally. How can I not take it personally when you say you think my family and faith are holding me back? That's like the most personal thing a human being can say to another human being, and you're wrong. If anything, if it wasn't for my family, I wouldn't be where I am today. Your opinion is not relevant nor okay. That's true. It's not. And for that, you're going into timeout. There we go. But yeah, no. If I could hire people, I would. Like, I would. And to be honest, actually, me and my wife were talking about this, but if we wanted to move to America, there's only so many ways you can actually do it. And I'm probably going to butcher this. She knows way more than me about this, like way more about the intricacies of emigrating to America and what it would take. But to get the visas and all the rest of it, there is an option where you invest either like $100,000 into a company or something, which I can't do that. That's not going to happen. Or you set up your own company in the US that hires people. And I'm thinking, what if we set up Understanding Conspiracy and maybe I start paying these moderators a bit of a pittance, Maybe that could be a way around it. I don't know. Right now they're working for free, Maybe I actually put them on a payroll of some kind, and maybe that could be our foot in to leaving the UK. But I don't know. Just ideas. We're mulling them around, A few thank you whoever booted him. I booted him because it's just a ridiculous thing to say. For those listening who want to know, if it wasn't for my family, my wife, I would not be doing this. I would not be here today talking to you people. She is the one who told me to quit my job at Aldi when I was miserable and said, we can do it. We'll go on our own. And without her encouragement to do that, I wouldn't have done it and I wouldn't be here. And she has supported me all the way through to where I am today, even through all the terrible, horrible times where we're under heavy attack from psychopaths online with God complexes. Like, she's been there. She's stuck by me. She's allowed me to continue to do what I'm doing. She does not hold me back. She is the only reason I can do this. She is moral support through and through. And also, quite literally, she is my accountant because I'm terrible with money. So she's the one who deals with all that as well. We're a team. We're a partnership. So no, what you said is just objectively wrong. I like that loophole. I know is that right? Keely, is that right? Can you hear me in there behind that wall in the bedroom? Like, if I start a company called Understanding Conspiracy as a media company, could I hire my moderators who are somewhere else in the country as people who I pay to moderate my channel? Is that technically a company that hires people in America? Or do I have to hire them with benefits? Do they also have to get dental and health insurance, all that type of thing for it to count? Do I have to do it that way? I'm not sure. Basically correct, yeah. Okay, so I'm kind of right, but not really. Okay, I get what you're saying. I just listened for a few minutes to someone say something crazy. Yeah. What is this stream all about? Looks interesting, says Beshi2900. Well, Beshi, if you go back to the beginning and listen, I map out exactly what this stream is about. You're at the back end of it now, where I'm just kind of chatting to the guys, having a bit of a therapy session with you, just talking, getting people's opinions on things, you know. But the first hour of the show, which is usually the case, is me giving a little bit of a talk, a presentation, mulling ideas around, and it's really about the truther journey and what it takes to be a truther, what it used to be like compared to what it's like now. And I just talk. It's therapy for truthers, so go and check it out if you have the time. How much for signed copies? If you wait, can I get a bundled deal? Like I said, Captain Alien Beats, I don't know if you heard, but for signed copies, for hardcover, it's £60. For paperback, it's £50. But if you're in the UK, it's £10 cheaper. So if you're in the UK, it's £50 for hardcover, £40 for paperback. It only has to be like that because the postage to America with the new tax, the customs tax they put on everything, it's like doubled the cost of postage. So it used to be the same price, but now I've had to add that surcharge on top of it to cover the taxes. But me paying the taxes is cheaper than you paying them on the border, which is why I've done it this way. So yeah. Do you think the Tuatha De Danann are the lost tribe of Dan? No. They're more than likely Nephilim. More than likely. The story of them coming in a cloud of lightning and establishing dominance in that region, getting the Fomorians and battling them out the land before being defeated and run out the land by what we call the Celts today, you know, and the ones that took over the region, by man, basically. And then they went off and became the fairy folk. So basically they became disembodied spirits which are stuck on Earth. So that's Nephilim categories. When they died in their physical form, which was beautiful, tall, red-headed, pale-skinned giant god-men and women, when they died, they ended up being stuck on Earth as spirits or fairy folk. That's Nephilim story. That's a Nephilim story. Enoch makes it clear when a Nephilim dies, they become unclean spirits stuck on Earth. So I think that's more likely what the Tuatha De Danann was. That's my take. That's my opinion. I don't think they were the tribe of Dan. You're a stellar team. I like that loophole. What's a conspiracy that's starting to become very true, according to you, says Beshi2900. I think what we're seeing right now is the rise of the Third World War that Albert Pike was talking about. But it's going to be a religious war between Christianity, Islam, and Zionism. But it's going to be nationalist Christianity, basic extremist jihad, Islam, and Zionism. But the political Zionism. I think the people who run the Zionist nation aren't even Zionists. I think they're Satanists. I think they're Luciferians. I think they have duped a large population of Jewish people into the Zionist doctrine. And there are a lot of Jews out there who reject Zionism wholeheartedly. So really all the factions that will be fighting each other are extremes of concepts that shouldn't exist to begin with. That will end up fighting each other in the Middle East, but those created violent factions will be used as an example after the end of that war as to why we shouldn't have religion based on a monotheistic Abrahamic God. And then that'll be outlawed and the New Age religion will replace it. I think we're seeing that happen now. And I think we're also witnessing the externalization of the hierarchy, which also comes with not only the revealing of the hidden spiritual powers, which will be Lucifer and Satan and the demons, but they'll be posing as beings of light, but also the externalization of the old world systems are coming to fruition now. And I think the Ordo ab Chao philosophy is happening, and they're going to destroy the old world systems which are corrupt, which we know about and have been exposing in the Truth of Culture forever. But I think the point is they wanted them exposed, and this is what comes with the externalization of the hierarchy agenda. And I think a large part, the truth community has played their part in exposing all the corruption of the world, which is there and real and horrible. But the point is, it needs to be exposed so they have a justification to eradicate it and then bring in a new world, which comes after that war I mentioned, which will be about peace, love, a small population, living in harmony with the world, a one currency, no borders, one world religion, one government run by a technocratic AI system probably that will make our new gods. Mankind is God collectively type of attitude. We'll transcend out of our flesh bodies through technology. We'll take control of our own human evolution type stuff will start kicking in. But first of all, we have to externalize the old corrupt system, destroy it, and then the phoenix will rise from the ashes of that destruction that they've orchestrated. And I think we're in the midst of that destruction right now. The collapsing of the old world and the rising of the new. But that doesn't necessarily have to translate to bombs literally turning everything into ashes and then they rebuild from scratch. It comes with a change of the mind. The old world will die in here, and the new world will flourish and manifest in the world through the people who believe in it. And that's probably what we're going to see, to be honest. And some things will get flattened and turned into rubble along the way. I don't doubt that for a second. Tell me one conspiracy that you believe with the bottom of your heart that has not yet confirmed. I don't know. I think they've all been confirmed now, to be honest. I really do. I really do. I think we're beyond that now. Health insurance and stuff in a computer under 100 employees is not mandatory out here. It would be for us, I think, is what we're trying to say here, Wendy. I also wouldn't accept pay. I would just give it right back. You'd have to, or they'd boot us otherwise. No, you can take the $5 a month I'm going to give you, Wendy, and you can go and spend it. Treat yourself to a whatever the hell you treat yourself to with $5 in America. Go and treat yourself. You could accept volunteers from the US and then give them donations and create a team that way. Yeah, I don't know about that. Do you think the Druids were just a competing clan of the Nephilim? No, I think the Druids were just Nephilim worshippers, but got very symbolic with the way they did it from their ignorant point of view. I think the Druids and their witchcraft were them harnessing the power of the spirits, of the disembodied spirits of the Nephilim primarily. A lot of the serpent snake iconography that comes with Druidism in that region is because they were dealing with the offspring of the seraphim angels, the dragons, which were the Nephilim. So that's probably more likely why that is the case. They were just men who worship demons, basically. Red-headed, does that mean you have Nephilim blood? No. And I don't have... My hair isn't red. I mean, my beard has a slight tinge of perhaps browny orange in it. But if you look at my hair, it's actually gold. Yeah, you really look at it. My hair is golden. No, I don't... You don't... It's very rare you find any human being with blood red hair like this thing up here. Okay, doesn't really exist unless they put something like a red ochre in there, some kind of tint, or they've dyed it. You can get very dark orange hair which looks red, sure, but it's rare, very rare. It's not related to the Nephilim. I don't believe. Everything I've looked into has indicated it's just not the case. It's just human adaptation to environment. The Nephilim, the way they looked, they had porcelain white vampiric skin. Not this peachy pink stuff that white people tend to have. I'm talking like deathly white, like a piece of bleached paper. And they had fiery red hair. Like fiery, bright, red hair. Like blood red hair. And that's just a different... It's not natural. It's unhuman. It's divine. It's odd. Very odd. So no, gingers aren't Nephilim. It's what I'm not just coping either. I'm telling you the facts here. That's just not the case. Okay, gingers are not Nephilim. I made some pictures ages ago about this point, which I must have somewhere, which are funny. I'll just show you why I know this. Okay. I mean, first of all, let's just look at this. Share the screen. That's not a ginger person. Okay. That is a hybrid human dragon beast monster. Okay? That's not a white guy with ginger hair. These things did not look human. They are not human. So there's that first of all. Okay, I just saw it there and thought, yeah, I'll share that first. But there's this other thing. I made these funny images ages ago, and I just want to try and find them quickly. But actually, let me just quickly search. Yeah, I'll search here. Here we go. So I made this tongue-in-cheek thing ages ago on my Telegram group. I'll share it here. And it's like... This one's tough, but there are a few differences hidden in these two images. Can you spot the difference? I know it's hard. Like, how about this one? This one is more challenging. How about we try this one here? As you can see, they're the same picture, right? They're the same thing. So gingers were definitely descendants of Nephilim. But when you actually look at what the Nephilim really looked like, they're not ginger people. They're monsters. Like inhuman monsters beyond all comprehension. Like hideous beasts, you know. So when people say like the gingers are Nephilim, it just, from my research perspective, it's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. It makes no sense whatsoever. And that's it. That's just this. I thought I'd show you that funny thing I made ages ago. Looks like my neighbor. In other news, Radio 24. I've not seen you in a while. Who's your favorite disciple, Paul? I relate to Peter and James a lot. And to be honest, Paul, who I'm named after, I'm not going to lie. Like, I know a lot of people don't like that. A lot of people say Paul isn't a true disciple and go down that route and everything. But I think his road to Damascus moment, that idea of being a persecutor turned believer, really speaks to me, because I was that type of person. You know, I was very anti-Christian, anti-religious for a long time. And it took me suffering and pushing myself to extreme limits to realize that I need God in my life, you know, and he, you know, showed and proved to me that he is real, and that even a wretched sinner like me who persecuted Christians can be saved. And I relate to that story massively. I do. I really do. He didn't say full-blown Neph, but Neph blood. No, I don't think so. I think there's actually very little, if any, Nephilim blood in existence today. I think God did wipe them out, primarily through the flood, to the point where they're just practically non-existent, and they existed obviously after the fact, the lands of Canaan. But most of them were culled, and any few that did survive went off to hide in caves and things like this. And I think the DNA got watered down a lot, like a lot, and were isolated to certain tribes, like the Paiutes in the Sitikar in the North Americas, for example, who were fighting against the Paiutes, and they were like 9 foot tall, 8 foot tall, with white skin, red hair, and cannibalistic, still monsterish, you know. And you had the Nung Nung tribes as well for the Duwamish people, who were again like 13 foot tall. And they were throwing men into the air and letting them splash all over the floor and die as a punishment because they were dared stand up to them after they kept stealing their women and stuff like this. And you have these tales and stories of more modern encounters, but they got killed. Like, they got wiped out as a result of them showing themselves to humans. So I think if there are any Nephilim descendants around today, they're in hiding. I don't think they reveal themselves. I really don't. I don't think it's the people. I don't think it's humans either. I don't. I think they would like us to believe that we are. And there may be some power families out there with special bloodlines who think they are the descendants of the Nephilim. But I reckon even they've been deceived to a huge extent as well. I really do. Especially when you consider the little season aspect, and that time is actually a lot shorter since people have been populating the Earth. Like, perhaps the population of the Earth we see today is only a result of maybe like 200 to 300 years worth of repopulating after the end of the Millennial Kingdom, or maybe 1,000 years of populating since the beginning of the Millennial Kingdom, you know. And that means anything that came after the Revelation destruction event of tribulation, everything was wiped out, and there was only a remnant that survived, and the resurrected dead got to rule, you know. So all the humans around today, by that standard, are all human. Well, God resurrected. No Nephilim whatsoever physically walking around anymore, but their spirits remain disembodied on the other side. So I think we have to think about it in a broader context. And I think a lot of this talk about Nephilim still among us and some humans have Nephilim blood in them, I think it's a huge distraction. I think it also justifies the us against them attitude and the Nephilim hunting attitude. And, you know, say you do discover, or you have suspicions that that person has Nephilim blood in them. Oh, so what are you going to do? What are you going to do about that? Are you going to kill them? Is that the end result? They're not human. Are you going to dehumanize them now? It's a very dangerous precedent when you start going down that route. It's not worth it. It's pointless. If there are the wheat and the tares situation going on, let God and his angels be the ones who do the harvest and separate the two. It's not up to you. So there's that as well. Look at the city car in Nevada. Sounds like Neph. Yeah, I've wrote about them in the book. If you're interested, there's a whole segment on them in this. Yeah. Have you heard of Astana, Kazakhstan, and the Fallen Angels 200 seats Board of Peace possibly meeting there? Yeah, I've heard about that, Rev. I don't think I have time to go into it right now because we're coming to the end of the show, but maybe we'll talk about it again in the next one. So St. George killing the dragon was killing a Nephilim offspring. Probably. I think there's a lot of symbology behind that aspect of Jesus casting the dragon down, defeating the dragon as well. And we call it St. George, and there's many parables that go through it. But the idea of the serpent being defeated is a revelation symbol in my eyes. And I think it's of Satan being defeated too, that old serpent, you know. But I think I don't deny that there were probably dragons walking around at one point either. I think that's the case too. I love that, Paul, and continue to enjoy seeing your growth, says 10 Good Questions. Well, thank you. Aren't the Nephilim among us, the shapeshifters? Yeah, I'd be dubious about all of that. I would be, just off the reasons I gave earlier. You can't know that. You can't know that kind of thing. And a lot of things can be faked on media and the rest of it. Look how advanced AI is now. How long do you think AI has been advanced for? That they've only just shown us, you know. Be careful. Be careful with that line of reasoning and that thinking. I would be. What's your favourite chapter to write in your book, says Helena Rose? I mean, in the current book, the most fun chapter I wrote about so far was probably about Europe and the wild man and all the traditions all over Europe. It's wild. It's crazy how many representations of demons we have in Europe. It's kind of shocking. But I did also enjoy writing about the 2016 clown sightings and the 1980s clown sightings in Boston as well. That was fascinating. Trying to think of in the first book. I mean, the first book, I think, talking about the modern encounters and things like elongated skulls was quite fun. But I mean, the whole first half of the book is just dry history about the Nephilim. So was that fun to write? I don't know, but it's certainly interesting. I think in this book, Secret Societies in the Circus, chapter 15, is probably up there. But I did enjoy writing about the Ringmaster and the Hatman as well, if you're curious, those 2 chapters. But Johnny, the whole thing, this is my baby. I love the work, you know. It's all fascinating to me, so maybe you're asking me. It's too hard. It's too hard. Go and read it for yourself and you tell me what's your favourite. Never heard of the City Car. Yeah, look into them. Look into them. The City Car, I think, were the tribe the Paiutes warred with. I think it's the City Car who were the problem. There's a lot of name mix-up and stuff that goes on with these tribes sometimes. But they ended up warring with a tribe of giants and won. The humans won. This quiet time with his community is an oasis of rationale that I truly thank our Father for providing, says Joyful One. Well, thanks, Em. I'm glad you enjoy it. As you guys can hear, my voice is going, so I'm gonna call it a night, go and relax, and just chill out for a little bit. I appreciate you all being here. I really do. It's been good. For all the new people, I hope this has been cathartic. I hope this Truth or Therapy has helped you in some way, and I hope to see you back for the next episode. It's not always like this. I get guests on. I get call-in shows as well for the Truth or Therapy. I get podcasters on as well, and we have a bit of a back and forth, and there's lots of things that happen in the Truth or Therapy Session podcast. There's a huge backlog for you to go and check out, a playlist called the Truth or Therapy Sessions, and wherever you get your podcasts from, I'm on there too to listen to this in audio only. And if you're on Spotify, you get the video too. So go check that out if you're interested. I do a live Q&A every Wednesday. So if you want more of a relaxed back and forth from the beginning, and also sometimes I do a random presentation on those live Q&As about something that's really been on my mind, you can check that out on Wednesday if you want another live interaction. And then on Tuesdays and Fridays, I release a video about other things that are pre-recorded. And every Friday, there's an extra episode just for patrons. So go to Patreon, sign up for the extra content, and to support me so I can keep doing what I'm doing here with you guys. Without you, I really couldn't do this. So thank you for the support already on there on Patreon, for those who already contribute, and for those who want to support me, please sign up. I'm telling you outright, go do that for me, or buy a book or something, or get a signed copy. Email me at understandingconspiracy@gmail.com, and that's how I can keep doing this. But I hope you enjoyed it, guys. I'm going to get going. Thanks for listening, and as always, God bless.